It's nice. You get bonuses and gifts for everything. The 89-year-old Julie Andrews is still going strong. People used to believe the actress could only get better in the part she played, but now her stories are making us reevaluate our assumptions. She is coming clean about a scandal that rocked Hollywood and decades of hidden struggles and triumphs. After a long period of silence, what did Julie Andrews finally say, and why is everyone discussing it now? Mary Poppins is going to surprise you, so stay put for the moment. How to put a smile on everyone's face. Mary Poppins, Maria, the embodiment of grace, she was flawless. Contrarily, Julie Andrews did not enter this world as a princess. Even before Hollywood came calling, she was molded by fire and hard times. On October 1, 1935, in Walton-on-Thames, England, Julie's mother, Julia Elizabeth Wells, came into this world. There was absolutely no magic in her childhood. Both of her parents were educators, but they became estranged during W. The lovely Canadian singer Ted Andrews replaced Julie's biological father, Barbara. Barbara has exceptional piano skills. Although he was far from a perfect father figure, Julie did inherit his surname. The house became a terrifying place to be because Ted drank a lot behind the scenes. The once vivacious home is now terrifying, disruptive, and untrustworthy. To make matters worse, Julie revealed in retrospect that she had to lock her bedroom door as a young girl because Ted, when inebriated, would try to get in. That kind of thinking about one's own survival should never occur to a child. When she was a kid, her family broke the rules, disregarded their faith, and never guaranteed her safety. When Julie first stepped onto the stage, she was just 9 years old. Her family needed the money, not her desire for praise. Her competence was crucial to their survival. She would stand on a beer crate and sing in vaudeville halls since she couldn't reach the microphone. No matter the venue, she always gave it her all. Behind the scenes, she was carrying a heavy load that the crowd had no idea about. Even though she had a tough childhood, her voice brought joy to everyone she met. Even though that voice would alter her destiny soon, she would never truly escape her past. That is an awful burden to put on a young person. Dreams were big for many children. To be stable was Julie Andrews' desire. The survival of her loved ones, herself, and the world depend on it. Unlike her peers, Julie was able to make a living performing on stage. Every night, her incredible 4-octave singing range captivated the audience. Her royal family gig came when she was just 12 years old. At the tender age of 13, she had already dominated the West End of London. She was the center of attention. Despite the illumination, the shadows remained. Her dad, Ted Andrews, kept drinking heavily and would do terrifying things when he was inebriated. According to what Julie revealed later, she did the unthinkable and locked her bedroom door to protect herself after he attempted to gain access to her room during the night. This time the pain was much worse. At the age of 15, she discovered that Ted was not her biological father. Her mother's wartime boyfriend turned out to be her biological father. Julie was left to contemplate this mystery on her own. Even though things went wrong and people betrayed her, she never stopped acting. Before she could legally drive, she took her family on countless tours, took care of them, and even bought them a house. It cost a lot, but great work was done. Every note she sang would reveal the strength she possessed, and the anguish she concealed. They would soon face another test of their mettle, this time in front of an unstoppable film camera. A dramatic change occurred when Walt Disney took a risk. When Julie Andrews first descended from the clouds in her role as Mary Poppins, the audience witnessed a miracle, but nobody could see how much the rejection hurt, so she stayed off screen for the entire time. She received rave reviews for her performance as Eliza Doolittle in the Broadway production of My Fair Lady. No one doubted that she would eventually make a film featuring her talent. Nevertheless, Audrey Hepburn was cast by Hollywood to play the role in the film adaptation. A star with more financial clout was chosen over Julie, whose voice made the product famous. The worst part was how it demonstrated how fame could overshadow even the greatest talent. Then Walt Disney steps in. Her performance made her stand out to him. He gambled by casting her as the lead in the wacky, enchanted, and challenging Mary Poppins. Julie took it, and it became history. It was a smashing success. She won a film award for her debut role. Lovers from every corner of the globe were swept away. Is it still inadequate? She became one of the most famous actors of all time the very next year when she played Maria in The Sound of Music. The pressure to maintain her image of cleanliness, primeness and perfection was constant though because of that image. That image was about to be shattered in the most peculiar way by Julie Andrews, who had other plans. Why Mary Poppins is bad news. What caught everyone off guard was a dash of mischief and a subtly defiant attitude reminiscent of Julie Andrews lurking beneath Mary Poppins' prim and proper attire of an umbrella and buttoned-up shirt. Tony Walton, her first husband and the man who designed her clothes, was aware of this. Lining Mary's prime coats with vibrant coral and primrose fabrics, he gave her clothes a hint of defiance. Julie could feel its presence, a hidden wink visible only to her and the rest of the crew even though no one else did. That was exactly what Julie loved. She was mischievous in her own right, not merely Mary Poppins. Everyone thought Julie was a wonderful nanny, but that wasn't the case. She had a lot of guts, was funny and could make fun of herself. The question, "Does Mary Poppins have an orgasm?" was one of her most famous jokes. I assure you she does. Her Hollywood persona was shattered by that one line. She smoked while filming. When she was angry, she cursed. No, she was polite. It was her. Additionally, she had grown tired of pretending that everything was fine. Unexpectedly, Julie Andrews shattered all the illusions on film, leaving audiences unprepared. There is no apology and no top. In 1981, Julie Andrews accomplished something that nobody, not even her Hollywood peers, had predicted she would. She shattered the image that studios had spent decades cultivating of her as immaculate and nearly flawless. When the Mary Poppins and The Sound of Music actress went shirtless on television, everyone gasped. The film SOB was a scathing parody of the entertainment industry's fixation on controversy and public perception management. Her husband, Blake Edwards, was the director, and Julie played the role of a popular ideal actress who was made to perform a nude scene against her will. The role served as both a parody and an assurance. It was an exhilarating moment for the audience. It was nearly unbearable to think that Mary Poppins would undress for the camera. Some hailed it as a courageous stand by the women who protested the oppressive system. Some people felt betrayed, as if something had happened to their childhood that they had no control over. To Julie, though, it was neither a crime nor an attention-seeking tactic. That was liberation. Hollywood had made her play childish roles for decades, and she was sick of being constrained by corsets and unrealistic expectations. Does Mary Poppins have an orgasm? Wasn't just a casual question, a declaration of independence and a challenge to those who refused to accept her whole, imperfect and ferocious self. It was her way of making her feelings known. Julie Andrews did not shatter the dome of her own fame due to fury. She intentionally did. Entering her own narrative, she encountered the perplexity of womanhood. The days of unbelievable outfits and plots are over. The public was still mulling over her on-screen comments, unaware that her most vulnerable moment had nothing to do with being filmed. She was on the verge of a breakdown behind the scenes due to love, the passionate encounter that caused her legs to give out. Julie Andrews has been performing on stage since she was a little girl. Nothing could have prepared her for her debut romantic scene on film, despite her background as a princess and Broadway star. In the 1964 film The Americanization of Emily, she co-starred with the seasoned James Garner. In order to play the part, Julie had to do something completely out of character, kiss passionately on camera, even though she was a global celebrity. At the age of 28, she wasn't prepared for that degree of spotlight. To this day she still claims, "I had no idea what one was supposed to do." Good thing Garner was welcoming, courteous, and unexpectedly generous. Exactly what she needed at that moment. Being calm and collected helped her get through it. However, an unusual event occurred as the cameras were running. Julie was sincere in her sadness. It wasn't an act. That was her breaking point. She attempted to exit the set as soon as the director uttered the word cut, but her legs failed her. As she collapsed, her knees gave way. It had nothing to do with therapy. The emotional toll of exposing such vulnerability in front of an audience was immense. People started to view Julie Andrews as more than just an exemplar of kindness and generosity. She was considered a real woman in their eye. However, the iconic scene that would determine her career nearly bombed. Helicopter hell in The Sound of Music is high in the frigid Alps, spinning endlessly. Julie Andrews' joyful dancing in an alpine meadow at the beginning of The Sound of Music is one of the most picturesque movie scenes ever. However, a day of excruciating agony lay beneath that serene grin. A helicopter, a revolutionary tool in the 1960s, was utilized by the crew to capture the expansive shot. However, Julie was repeatedly flung into the grass whenever the helicopter approached closely enough, due to the downdraft caused by its blade. She felt the wind's relentless blows repeatedly. She would stand up, twirl around, and then be thrown back to her feet. In the chilly mountain air, it took 9 tries before it was perfect. There were other issues that arose on set as well. She had her naturally brown hair bleached before filming began at the studio. However, the initial dye job was appalling. A brilliant shade of orange appeared in her locks. They bleached it blonde and chopped it short because they were in a rush. The clean blonde bob that Maria adopted as her signature style was actually born out of a dye mishap. Always keep in mind that the stunning Julie Andrews was hiding a wounded, chilly, and tossed about person behind the scenes the next time you see her spinning in that field. Just when you thought that was scary, she unintentionally swore at Walt Disney. Scofflaws in Walt Disney's presence. The scene, which was supposed to feature Julie Andrews as Mary Poppins soaring through the air on lines, was ruined. When the rope snapped mid-trick though, she didn't land gently. Her blow slammed into lowest level. The instant she felt the agony, she took action. She swore so loudly that everyone on set could hear her. Considering how close you are, naturally Walt Disney himself. Reports indicated that the beloved Uncle Walt went completely speechless. After the fact, Julie informed him that she had probably never used such language before. Still, it wasn't the only instance in which her prime and proper reputation took a hit. Backstage, Karen Doris, who played young Jane Banks, found Julie Andrews still dressed as Mary Poppins, smoking a cigarette and speaking like a sailor. This is something she will always remember. 8 years old was like a scene from an unstaged play. The scene remained etched in her mind. It was shocking to think of Mary Poppins smoking and swearing, but it was real. Despite what you might expect, Julie's most vulnerable confessions had nothing to do with curses, clothing, or camera. They dealt with themes of love, mortality, and the man who had a positive impact on her life, melancholy, compassion, and destiny's march. The death of Blake in 2010 left Julie feeling lost. According to Julie, they had been there for each other through thick and thin, fame and illness, difficulties and aging. She had a string of failed marriages. She was bereft of her creative partner, her reflection, and her solid foundation. Julie persisted anyhow. She advocated for improved education for children, became a voice actress, and authored autobiographies that sold millions of copies. She revealed her true self in her diaries, revealing that she was not the ideal nanny at all but rather a strong, funny, and hurt woman, who was not as nice as everyone assumed. Despite being 89 years old, she has one final message for everyone, a truth that could make a shift in our perception of her. What a behemoth he was. Julie Andrews' childhood roles included singing nuns and enchanted nannies. The story of her life, however, is even more impactful. She overcame adversity as a young woman, defied Hollywood's norms, fell deeply in love, risked everything, and lived life to the utmost. Not only is she shocking us with her honesty, but she's also proving that imperfection is present in even the most stunning women. We pray that you were moved to tears by Julie's remarks. For more stories about the stars you thought you knew, please like, share, and follow. Was aware.